Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night 45 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 26. A good Sunday to all of y'all, right in the middle of a Labor Day weekend. All right, my Aggies didn't do it. They lost to Notre Dame in college football last night. So depressing. But you know what? I still had the live feeds to keep me occupied and entertained, and we certainly had some conversations taking place last night. I gotta say, a little chill, a little chill. We will talk about the results of the veto competition, conversations about what's going to take place now that we know about the veto, the owner, and we've got a new big target. Well, not big target, big enemy in the house. A lot of people throwing this person under the bus. So we certainly had conversations that we need to talk about. So let's get right into it. First is a reminder, Quinn is the HOH this week. He had previously nominated Angela, Rabina, and Kimo to go on the block as nominees. And we had our veto competition. And the new veto for the week is Leah. Yes, Leah has won the veto. Congratulations. Her first victory of the season. She's only the second woman to win a veto this season. Lisa won it early. Now Leah has won it as well. Congrats and props to Leah for not only winning, but wearing the chain around her neck for as long as she did, so that when the feeds came back, we actually knew who had won the veto competition. Leah, what an interesting choice. What is she going to do? Certainly does put her in a little pickle again about what she's going to do. Does she protect Angela, or does she float with the house and maybe do what the house wants and leave Angela to her own devices? We're going to talk about that. First of all, as far as the veto holder, Leah won. Apparently she got to pick to play alongside Joseph. Angela apparently drew house guest choice, drew her own chip, which meant she got to pick someone. She didn't pick Leah. She picked she picked Joseph to play instead. She later said, I thought it'd be kind of funny, a joke that Joseph has played and everything. So I thought it was kind of cute that I'd pick him again. I gotta say, if you get a chance to pick someone, you've got to pick someone that either is going to absolutely not win, and maybe that's why she picked Joseph, or someone that's going to be in your corner. It seems like Leah would have been the only choice there. She didn't do that. She decided to be cute instead. Fortunately for her, Quinn, when he picked, he actually drew Leah's chip, so Leah got to compete. Anyway, now, will Leah use it to protect Angela, to pull her off the block? That is what we don't know yet. That's one of the big questions. But yeah, we had Leah and Joseph competing alongside the nominees and Quinn in this competition. The competition itself was apparently building some kind of a robot puzzle. I think they called it Bot Builder. They were all wearing these coverall looking things. But the idea was to build some kind of a robot. I heard it was 11 pieces, that they had to do it in the dark. Now, I don't know if that's complete darkness or dark pieces. We just don't know, but apparently some kind of a puzzle type competition taking place in the dark. Why didn't they have those kind of competitions in my season? They have either all the physical comps and all of that. I do like the range of comps that we are getting this season, veto and HOH both. So they had to build it. Lee has won the competition. You know what? Let me just throw this out there. I'm starting to see a lot of similarities between Leah from this season and Kat Dunn for my season. Both of them very much underestimated in their gameplay early in the season. Both of them winning a puzzle competition at about this time of the season. And in my case, Kat used it to protect Jessica. In this case, will Angela use it? Or will Leah use it to protect Angela? Don't know. But the way they play the game, I see a lot of similarities between Kat and Leah at this point. We'll see if that continues. All right. So the interesting question, is she going to use a veto on Angela since they just agreed they had a final two set up? Or will she continue to focus staying more on the house's side, as I mentioned a second ago? We won't know until Monday, but there were certainly conversations about it. So let's talk about the feeds themselves. Some before the veto competition, some earlier in the day, and then a lot more in the evening. First of all, let's start off with Chelsea and MJ celebrating with Leah. They're in the bathroom, very happy that Leah has won this competition. MJ is actually suggesting to Leah that, hey, maybe you could use it on Angela, and maybe T-Core could go up. She said, how great would it be if the three of them were up? Chelsea kind of chimes in, says, yeah, how great would it be if all three of them ended up on the block right after Tucker went home? Now, T-Core's feeling something with Chelsea, right? Chelsea, maybe not quite as much with T-Core. There's a little bit mentioned later that Chelsea's a little worried she could get put up on the block instead. So certainly it would make sense that she would hope that maybe it could be someone other than her, such as, I don't know, T-Core. But yeah, the three of them are saying, yeah, wouldn't that be interesting? The three of them were up on the block together. Chemo, T-Core, and Rubina is who's being referenced. Boy, how the mighty have fallen. They had that flip a couple of weeks ago. It looked like they were on top of the world. Tucker's gone. They're all in trouble. Just crazy how quickly this house can change. But yeah, Chelsea, MJ, and Leah celebrating in the bathroom. They're not sure. They're talking about doing that, but they're not sure that Quinn would really want that much blood on his hands at this point in time. But it does bring up an interesting thought. Does Quinn, if the veto is used, how does Quinn decide? What does he do? Who is his target, his renomination going to be? As many people as he's trying to work with right now, Quinn doesn't have a lot of people that he could use. He talks about later to Leah that if the veto is used, he's thinking that he would, actually he's saying if one of the nominees had won and pulled himself off the block, that he was going to have everyone pull Skittles, and whoever drew the red Skittle would go on the block. So purely random, trying to keep the blood off of his hands. I got to say, if I'm in the house and someone does that, I'm holding that against you, that you are not courageous enough to make your decision, that you're letting the gods and randomness decide. That tells me that you've got someone who doesn't really care about anyone else in the house. If they're willing to potentially put anyone else up on the block, I think that works to his disadvantage. But Quinn, obviously, in a bit of a pickle if this veto is used in terms of who he's going to put up next. So we will see if that's an issue that he has to deal with. All right, Joseph is telling the cameras and little Joseph to camera conversation that he threw the competition, that at one point he realized he could have flipped one or two things and probably won it, but he didn't really want to win it, that he threw the competition. He mentions that he's thrown two other comps, the wall comp and hide and go veto, maybe, I can't remember, but he's saying he threw this competition. That is a dangerous game for Joseph to be playing. I understand he came in not wanting to create any kind of threat to himself and that he's just going to lay low, and by not winning these comps, he doesn't have to make hard decisions. I get all of that from a strategy point, but at some point, you need to win here and there, not just for a resume builder, but also to show that you can actually help, assist, protect some other people that theoretically you're lying to. If you don't ever do that, then what's the point of anyone latching up with you as part of an alliance? I think Joseph is to the point where you got to start winning some of these things. And as we're going to find out, there's a lot of people who are not real happy with Joseph at this point in time in the game. And I think he's in a lot more trouble than he thinks. He's hoping that Leah uses this veto on Angela. And at that point, then Chelsea goes up and Chelsea goes home. So we know who Joseph's biggest target is. We hear later Chelsea saying that her biggest fear is Joseph. So they've identified each other as each other's biggest threats. But yeah, Joseph throws yet another competition and is thinking that's his best gameplay. Not sure that's the case right now. All right, we've got T-Core and Rubina talking to one another. T-Core actually is happy. Is she? I think she is happy that even though Leah won, at least it wasn't the worst case situation, which would be Angela winning the veto, which would guarantee that Angela comes off. That didn't happen, so she's feeling pretty good. They're thinking that maybe Leah won't use the veto, and at that point, they can vote out Angela. Certainly, they don't want Rubina or Chemo going home, so the goal is to keep Angela on the block so they can vote her out. I think if Angela stays on the block, she probably does go home at this point in time. All right, we've got Leah and Quinn talking. Pretty long conversation. Leah pointing out that all the people who are talking bad about her previously, they're suddenly all wanting to work with her. Well, funny how that works when you have a little power in this house. It'll all change Monday. It'll all go back to the way it was before. Quinn uses this line about referring to Leah as, you're sick, nasty, you're incredible, you look cool in yellow, you're sensational. I don't know. I'm already tired of it. He mentioned it, and it's been repeated on social media about 1,001 times. Every other post has this comment. Y'all tell me in the comment, is this something that someone else used in the past? I don't recall this mentioned, but maybe I've missed it because it certainly seems like people are treating this as this big iconic something. Or is this just a Quinn original? I don't know. All I know is I've read it too many times over the past 24 hours. But yeah, Quinn, very complimentary to Leah in his own kind of way. So he mentions that Quinn does tell her that he fears that if they don't take out Angela right now, that she's just going to disappear into the shadows, because once you reach the jury phase, everyone is going to want to take Angela to the final two with them, because everyone's going to think they can beat Angela. As a result, Angela is going to, she won't win, but she'll make it to the final two. She's going to take $75,000 as a second place finish away from someone else that could be Quinn. It could be Leah. He just thinks Angela needs to go home right now, or else there's a good chance that she won't ever go home. And he's worried about that. He's saying that he originally talked about Rubina being the target, which we'd heard in the conversations. He originally was thinking about Rubina, but he's saying he's realizing that everyone who voted out Tucker is now going to be looking at Rubina as a target going forward. So he doesn't feel that there's the urgency to get her out the same way he feels about Angela. So Angela is definitely Quinn's target at this point in time. All right, he thinks that Angela would go home against either Chemo or Rubina if it comes to a Thursday night vote. I think he's right on that. All right, we've got Leah saying that she hasn't decided on using the veto. I think actually she says, I'm just not sure I want to talk about how to. She's very wishy-washy and not really giving Quinn an answer about whether or not she would use that veto on Angela. She's saying, look, having Angela in the house, I'm not going to lie, having Angela in the house, I think would benefit my game. But she's saying, but I also understand and recognize that if I used it, it would put you in a bad position. It would put more blood on your hands, and I don't want to do that either. So she's kind of torn between the two. If I'm Leah, does it benefit you? Certainly, I would think if Leah makes to a final two and Angela's on jury, that Leah has a built-in, pretty much guaranteed vote for winning this thing. So in that way, it helps her. But as unpredictable, we'll just use that word, as unpredictable as Angela can be, having her as your number two, as your tight bond, could be a little dangerous for Leah as well. But she's saying, yeah, I think she'll help my game keeping her in here, but I don't want to force you to get more blood on your hands either. So she is torn, and we don't know yet what she's going to do. She is worried about Chemo. She's saying that if everyone in this house, she thinks Chemo is the one that she just hadn't worked with. And if Chemo sticks around, if he doesn't go home this week, that certainly there's potential he could win an HOH and come after her. So what we're hearing is, I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but I really don't want Angela to go home. Hint, hint, Chemo would be a better choice for me. So is there a way that she and Quinn could work out some kind of deal or work the rest of this house to where she doesn't use a veto, but Angela is not sent home and Chemo gets sent home instead? I just don't know they've got the votes there, but I feel like that's what Leah was hinting at when she talked about this. All right, we've got Leah telling Quinn as well that Joseph is telling everyone that he convinced Tucker to use the veto on Quinn, and just letting him know. She said, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus or anything. I'm just letting you know that he's telling everyone that he kind of controls you and all that. And let the Joseph bashing begin, because we had a lot of it last night. Quinn is revealing that he and Joseph have a final two deal, theoretically. Yeah, we've got one, Leah, but he's also telling Leah that she is his actual number one in the game and number one in his heart, right? So he's saying, you're my actual number one, but just so you know, he and I theoretically have a final two, but you're the real final two right now. Leah is saying that in response, saying, Quinn, you're all I've got in this house, so yes, I'm glad I'm your number one, because you're what I've got in here as well. So the two of them, they never called themselves a final two, but certainly they're seeming to want to work with each other as long as it benefits both of them at least. All right, we've got I think with Quinn, he's already said that he pretty much, that Leah's his weak spot, that he would probably throw his game away if it came down to it. He may. Thinking with your heart there, Quinn. But yeah, so they've kind of agreed they're going to continue to work with each other. All right, we had a big conversation between Angela and Joseph, and maybe the most relevant conversation of the evening, certainly the most impactful. Angela is trying to campaign, as you would expect someone to do who's on the block. She's trying to campaign. She's telling Joseph that she has no one in this house at this point, no one supporting her, that as a result, she didn't have any connections that he has to worry about, that she could be a number for Joseph. She could be a vote to protect him on down the road, that she knows he is an incredibly smart game player and recognizes that he can see how divided the house is. And with a divided house, you may need that extra vote, Joseph, and I can be that vote for you because I got no one else. Is basically the pitch that she's throwing to him. Joseph comes back and says, look, Quinn isn't going to want the veto used on you. There's no way that Quinn's going to want that. That you, Angela, have come after Quinn too many times at this point in time. And Joseph's saying that he doesn't have Quinn's trust anyway after not giving Quinn some information, and they're on kind of on the outs. So he's saying, even if I thought Quinn would do it, I'm not the person that can convince Quinn of that. I cannot convince Quinn to talk to Leah and convince her to use a veto on you. I'm not in a position to do it. And Quinn, there's no way Quinn's going to do it anyway. Angela, you've done too much chaos already. Angela responds to that saying, look, I'm not asking for you to do that. I'm not asking you to try to talk him into getting Leah to use it. I'm not even going to ask Leah to use it on me. I'm going to just win the AIBB arena. That's not what I'm asking you to do. But Joseph comes back and says, look, there are too many people. Everyone in this house is worried that you're going to blow up their game, that, you may have been serious or not about Tucker and all that, but, or that Tucker said y'all had a final two and, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But right after that, you suddenly are coming after Tucker and blowing up his game. You've blown up other people's games. Remember, week number 1, they tried to propose a collective to her and she blew up Joseph and Quinn's game at that point. So he's saying you continue to blow up people's games, that you've done it to too many people, to so many people. And he says, it's a pattern for you. If it's just one time, maybe 2 times, maybe. He says, but this is a pattern for you, Angela. You get in with someone, but then you blow up their game. And so no one's going to trust you enough to want to work with you at all or do anything for you. He says, I just don't see a way for you going forward that really your only chance, you need to get in there and win the BBAI arena. Don't be thinking you can get anyone to use a veto on you or anything like that. You just have to win this thing and use comp wins as a way to survive. He's saying that at one point he says, yeah, it's kind of amazing that you're even here still at this point in time, considering everything that has gone on. Now, here's the thing. I think Joseph is right in pretty much everything he says here. I'm not disagreeing with his statements and with his opinions. What I'm disagreeing with is him being so direct in telling Angela all of this stuff. We haven't seen the veto ceremony yet. We don't know if what's going to happen between now and Monday. That veto may be used on Angela to protect her. She may win BBAI arena and pull herself off the block. There is a possibility she's going to be here next week. And if she is, there is a possibility that she can win HOH. And Joseph just seems, with all of this conversation, to have very quickly made himself the primary target for Angela, right? If I'm Angela, I'm like, fine with you, with me. If I'm sticking around, being so direct isn't always the best approach in the game of Big Brother. You gotta be friendly and polite to people, no matter what happens. If for no other reason, even if Angela survives, even if she doesn't win HOH, she could still be on jury. Yeah, you got to be thinking about jury votes even at this point in time. Joseph doesn't seem to be doing that in his conversation with Angela. All right, Joseph later tells Quinn and T-Core that Angela was trying to convince him to get Quinn, to get Leah to use the veto on Angela. Was she? I'm sure she would have hinted around it. She never said that, but that's what Joseph's saying to them. I'm sure that was where she eventually would have gone, but he's telling Quinn and T-Core about the conversation. Meanwhile, Angela is telling Leah about the conversation, saying she had asked Joseph if he could talk to Quinn and see if maybe there was some way that she wouldn't have to be the primary target. That's what she's saying the goal was of this pitch to Joseph. She's telling Leah that at this point, she's saying, Leah, do not use the vote on me. Use that veto. Use the veto on someone else because I'm going to just win the arena comp. That's the way I'm going to survive this week. I know I say that every week, but this week I'm going to win that veto, the arena comp, and save myself. That's what I will do to stay alive. So do not use the veto on me. Use it on someone else. Well, if Leah doesn't use it on Angela, I don't think she's using it on Chemo or Rubina. I don't think there's any chance on that. But that's what Angela is saying. Leah is saying, look, I understand. Don't let someone else put those kind of thoughts in your head. Because I think she also said that Joseph had said no one wanted to work with her. No one was comfortable with her. She said, don't let one person put those kind of thoughts in your head. That's not it, Angela. So just, you got to fight this stuff. So yeah, Leah trying to kind of calm Angela down a little bit. Yeah, if I was Angela, I'd feel a little bit bad about that myself. All right, Joseph later does talk to Angela. I think Angela actually approached Joseph in the hammock in the back and said, look, this conversation we had, it just doesn't sit well with me. She told Leah or someone else, it kind of made her sick to her stomach, what was said. And so she approaches Joseph and says, it's just not sitting well with me the way this conversation went, Joseph. And he tells her he hadn't meant to be harsh, that was not the intent of it. He's saying, I'm not sure he does himself any favors. He says, I didn't mean to be harsh. That wasn't what I was planning. And Angela, people like you. Well, we all like you. It's just the game, Angela, that we don't want to work with. Okay. That part, no one wants to have anything to do with you. But outside the game, you're probably fine, Angela. He says, once we get outside the house, I'm sure we'll probably go have a coffee or something. So, yeah, he's kind of, I don't know, in Joseph's own particular way. I guess he's trying to do some damage control, although he doesn't seem nearly as intent on it as Angela does. All right, we did have Leah cook lasagna for everyone. She spent a lot of time doing it, but hey, congratulations to Leah for doing that. She cooked lasagna for everyone. Angela just sitting over the kitchen table, just kind of contemplating. Seething is a word that came to mind at the time. Just not looking happy at the time. Now later we have a conversation. I think it's maybe Quinn and Cam and MJ. I can't remember who all was up there, but they're talking about the fact. I think Quinn says, I applaud Angela for not just being involved in all the cooking and all of that. She's not over there just trying to run the kitchen and do everything, because she's cooked all this, and that the older women in the house always would tend to be the mom type and all. And he said, I applaud her for not trying to take on that role. And Mackenzie says, oh no, she tried. She said she doesn't do it because we kicked her out of the kitchen. She's always over there saying, how can I help and all that. And we're saying, yeah, just we've got it handled. So yeah, Mackenzie and Angela just not like this right now. But they're laughing about that a little bit. And certainly Angela, I think there's conversations for later that Angela never cooks or does anything from a kitchen standpoint. Well, she's not doing this tonight. She's watching Leah cooking lasagna and just not looking happy. We've got the down in the dumps Angela this week. We've also got down in the dumps chemo as well. Funny how that happens when you're on the block. All right, but Leah cooked lasagna for everyone. I think everyone enjoyed it. Speaking of chemo, I think chemo is the only one. He went outside, didn't eat with anyone else. Of course, he's a have-not, but even when you're a have-not, you still hang around with the other people. You got to keep those relationships going. Well, chemo didn't do that. He went outside. Mackenzie was also a have-not, but she fixed some kind of slop alternative and ate at the table with everyone else. She's understanding a little bit more in chemo that you can't let your existing situation stop you from trying to bond with the other people that you've got in this house. All right, we've got T-Core and Quinn talking. Quinn is saying that if Leah uses a veto, he's going to have to ask someone to volunteer to go on the block. No one is willing to make a decision in this house. Just pull the trigger. Just declare some loyalties and don't be so wishy-washy. Who is going to volunteer to go on the block after what we've seen happen with Cedric and with Tucker? Yeah, Quinn, you're not getting any volunteers. And if you're hinting around to T-Core about that, good luck to you. You're much more likely to have to go with a Skittles random draw, which, as I said before, not a fan of either. You just got to decide who is the least important to you or who helps your game the least and go that direction. You're going to get blood on your hands, Quinn, at this point in time. There's no way to avoid it if that veto is used. All right, so we've got that. T-Core is asking Quinn, saying, who would you want to work with us? And Quinn is saying, Chelsea and Cam and Mackenzie and Leah and Joseph. Now, when she said them, I assumed that she meant Rabina and Chemo and T-Core, which with the people Quinn has mentioned adds up to 8 people. Basically, everyone who's not, well, some of the people on the block right now. Basically, everyone except, what is that, Angela, I guess? I don't know. She said, who do you want to work with? And he said all these people. Now, later we had conversations that suggest that maybe Quinn is not thinking that Chemo would be part of that group. So we'll cover that in a second. All right, we've got Leah and Rabina talking. Rabina is saying that she's happy that she's just happy that Tucker isn't in the house at this point. She's saying it hurts. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it hurts, but she says from a gameplay standpoint, it's better for my game that Tucker isn't here. And Leah's saying, yeah, now we've got Rabina. Now we can see Rabina's game. So it's certainly a much better situation. Rabina is talking about, implying, I suppose, the idea of two women making the end. She talks about making a bigger impact. Now, I will say, I never heard her use the words women's alliance or two women or anything else. I'm a little busy with the Aggie game in between these, but I think certainly the implication was there of the women's alliance, even if the words themselves weren't used. So Rabina kind of suggesting that maybe we need to revisit this women's alliance. In other words, don't get rid of me. I'm part of it. I'm a woman. I can help you go forward. Maybe go after Chemo instead. All right. So she's mentioning this to Leah. Leah's later talking to Mackenzie, and she's saying that, yeah, she's trying to have these one-on-one. She's trying to meet with everyone, figure out what they want with the vetoes and all of that. Leah suddenly has power. She's able to call people in, have meetings with them instead of the other way around. But she's complaining to Mackenzie that she's just not getting that much information from these people when she talks to them. But she is laughing, saying, well, but, Rabina did bring up the Girls Alliance all of a sudden after, it's been a while. Now suddenly it's come up again. Mackenzie is laughing, saying, yeah, she kind of brought it up to me as well. So we see Rabina's approach of trying to get all the women on her side and girl power and all that, and maybe look somewhere else if at all possible. But both for this week and going forward. Now, remember, Rabina thinks, and she's right, that Angela is the target. So Rabina's not just talking about this week. Rabina's looking for new alliances, new groups on the assumption that she will survive this week. How does she go forward knowing that she is without Tucker and very much in a minority? And so I think it's not just now, but looking forward that's got her trying to bring in people that maybe she hadn't worked with as much before. All right, we've got Angela and Tikor talking. Angela's trying to clear the air, I guess, with Tikor. She's saying, look, Tikor, if there's anything that was maybe misinterpreted or you feel like there's anything directed at you, like that I was suggesting that you should go on the block, anything like that, I'd just like to talk about it. It's kind of a campaign, a pitch, I guess. I would just like to clear the air a little bit if that's the case. I'd like to discuss it. She says, I know I'm the target right now. I know that if I don't do something, I'm going home. She said, I take ownership for my actions. I'm not trying to deny anything I've done in the past. I'm going to do everything I can do to fight and stay and survive in this house for yet another week. She's saying, but I do know I'm the target. And even if I go home, I would just like to make sure that I'm good with you before something like that was to happen. A little bit of campaigning, I suppose so, but Angela just might be wasting campaign time, considering that Chemo and Rabina are the other two people on the block. I don't think you're getting you're getting Tikor's vote to stay, Angela, this particular week, unless something incredibly radical was to happen. But she's still having a conversation. Really not a lot of comment from Tikor. A lot of She did say thank you at the end for Angela mentioning all that and clearing the air with her. Not sure that much air was cleared, but at least Angela made the effort, and it is what it is. All right, we've got Chemo eventually joining Tikor after that conversation. Chemo is saying that he's thinking that Leah will not use the veto. That's probably the way it's going to use. There's talk about, do they need to talk to Quinn and figure out who really is the target if it really is still Angela? Chemo's worried. So he's saying maybe we need to talk to Quinn later, and Tikor's saying maybe. She's saying, but at the same time, she's upset with Quinn that Quinn put up Chemo and Rabina together. She's saying, why should we be in there talking to him, giving him anything when he didn't come to us for any consultations, for any discussions? He just made that decision, and here we are. So she's feeling a little left out, not a full collaborator with Quinn and his decision. So not really wanting to have a whole lot to do with Quinn right now. Of course, she's not on the block. Chemo is. So Chemo feels a little more urgency to try to work some things out with Quinn and all that. She says that she's got a lot of things that she could say about Quinn, that she wants to say about Quinn, but she's going to hold her tongue for right now and just kind of see how things go. So, yeah, if Tikor goes on the block this week or in weeks following, I'll be really curious to see how she handles that. She's not been on the block yet. She is it her and Joseph? I think her and Joseph and Leah, the only three not on the block so far. So yeah, we would see how that works. But she says she's got things she could say about Quinn somewhere on down the road. All right, T-Core is saying that she wants to work with people who don't have big mouths. So Joseph is definitely out. Cam and Chelsea, on their hand, don't really have big mouths, so maybe they could do something with the two of them. But yeah, Joseph has a big mouth. Has no desire to work with Joseph. Rubina joins eventually. They're all agreeing that Angela is going home if she's one of the two nominations come voting time on Thursday. All right, we've got Quinn and Cam and Mackenzie talking. They're all saying and agreeing that hanging out with Angela is just uncomfortable. They don't want to do it. Mackenzie sounded that she probably won't hang out with Angela again. There's no need to at this point. She's done enough of it. She's not going to kiss up. She's just not going to hang out with her. Has no desire to do that anymore. I think at this point, some of the discussion about Angela cooking and things like that came up that I mentioned earlier. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo talking. T-Core is realizing that the people who voted out Tucker have probably formed an alliance as a result of that, and that at this point in time, they're probably just going to pick off the people who voted to save Tucker. They're just going to try to pick them off one by one. So T-Core certainly appreciating that she's on the bottom end of the house at this point in time. Maybe not the very bottom, but certainly a little further down the line. She says that she's done fighting for other people, putting her neck out for other people, that she's made the friends that she wants to make. And the rest of them, she's not doing anything to help anyone else at this point in time. You know, I think it's easy when you realize that you're on the bottom, that you're a minority, that everyone is gunning for you. It's easy to pull yourself in, grab the people that you do think you can trust, form a little shell around them, and just stay with the people that you want to stay with. And, you know, the rest of them, whatever. It's an easy thing to take. But when you feel like that, I think it's more important than ever that you be reaching out and creating some bonds and trying to interact with some of these other people. And she's saying she's not going to do it. She's got the friends that she wants to make. Now, if you want to survive, you got to make more friends, not less friends, T-Core. But I understand the sentiment. And I think T-Core will, as things happen, I think she'll continue to try to develop new bonds with other people. She's just kind of venting at this point in time. All right, we've got Mackenzie and Quinn talking. They're talking about a new group, saying that 7 maybe seems too big. Like, yeah, think they're not that. How many people are in the house? 11 people in the house right now. 10 people in the house. 10 people in the house. Yeah, so 7 could be a little big for an alliance, but they're talking about forming a new group. Mackenzie's worried about Joseph. She's saying he won't be loyal to us if we do anything. He's been throwing comps. He's telling everyone that he's safe. He's feeling way too safe. He's way too arrogant. He's telling everyone else that he's smarter than the rest of the people in the house. He knows how to play this game, that they're horrible players. He's just very cocky, very arrogant. And so Mackenzie wants nothing to do with Joseph as part of a new group. Quinn is saying, I like Joseph. I'd like to keep him, but I got to say, it doesn't really make sense to make him part of this group. Joseph has been very quiet and trying to fly under the radar, and I think it has worked to this point in the game. Now, as I said earlier, I think you reach a point where you have to start winning some comps and doing some things. And Joseph, maybe that's what he thinks he's doing, becoming much more vocal at this point in time. But he's doing a heck of a bad job at it. He's just got everyone pointing fingers at him and really not happy with Joseph at all over the last 48 hours or so. So yeah, even Quinn is saying, yeah, it doesn't make sense for me to keep him. Now, does Quinn really believe that? Now, Quinn's going to want to work with everyone, including Joseph. But certainly the sentiment in the house is that Joseph is kind of getting a little too big for his britches, so to speak. All right, we've got Quinn and T-Core talking. Quinn is talking about him and Joseph and T-Core and Chemo. He's worried that Joseph is coming across very cocky to everyone and will not necessarily be a benefit to this group if that continues. So he's talking about bringing in Chelsea, but he says if we do that, that also means bringing in Cam. And yeah, I'm fine working with Chelsea. Cam, a little more uncertain about. But he's telling T-Core, he's saying now, Leah definitely wants to work with you as well. She really respects your game, T-Core. He says at one point, you're playing the best game in this house, maybe the best social game of all time. that may be pushing a little bit, Quinn. But he's certainly being very complimentary to T-Core and talking about bringing in all of these other people. Now, when I said talking about him and Joseph and T-Core and Chemo and all, I said Chemo, but you can't break them up, right? T-Core and Chemo? Well, maybe so, because as a conversation continues, Quinn asks T-Core, says, are you comfortable in an alliance that doesn't include Chemo? Would you ever consider that? And she says, yes. She said, I love Chemo. We're tied, obviously. She says, but we came into this house separately, and at the end of the day, I have to play my own game. And so, yeah, if I have to, then yeah, I would be in alliance without him. Is that what she really believes? I just don't see it. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. But she's telling Quinn that she would be fine in an alliance, even if it doesn't include Chemo. He is confirming, or I think she says now, can just confirm, you're talking about me and you and Cam and Chelsea and Mackenzie and Leah in this new group. And he said, yeah, that's it. That's who we can work with. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So you don't have the 7 that was talked about earlier. Now you're talking about the 6 people. Does not include Joseph. Does not include Chemo. Is this going to go anywhere? I don't think so. It may last for a week. I don't see it going anywhere. But yeah, Quinn says, yeah, absolutely. Us 6 can work together. A new group. Says now, obviously, there's going to be core within that group. And of course, you and I are going to be part of that core. But yeah, so the collective, the Pentagon, all over again with a slightly different host of characters. All right, so they've had that little conversation. Now, we got Leah and Quinn talking. They are agreeing that Joseph is upsetting people with his arrogance. Is Joseph trying to replicate Dr. Will? Dr. Will, who didn't win any competitions, who at the end said, I hate all of y'all. Is Joseph just trying to be the new Dr. Will of just being so aloof and acting like he doesn't even care about what other people's opinions are? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go well for you, Joseph, if you do it. But they are agreeing that Joseph just sounding very cocky here recently. Quinn is saying that they're doing this. They're up in the HOH room talking while it's occurring. Quinn should be very happy. He's in the HOH bed with Leah. They're under the sheets and very close to each other. A certain amount of flirting going on, a certain amount of closeness, proximity as well. So I think Quinn's enjoying his newfound power, Leah's newfound power, and the ability to work together as a result of it. He seems very happy. Leah maybe seems a little cringed out a few times when maybe they get a little too proximate to each other. But yeah, I'm sure Quinn's feeling like he's on top of the world right now. All right, we'll see if that happens if he has to put someone else up on the block come Monday. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo talking. T-Core is saying that Quinn said that Rubina would be the one to go home. If Angela doesn't survive to the vote on Thursday, it'll be Rubina. So Chemo, you should be okay. But Chemo saying, you say that, but I have a feeling it's going to come down to me versus Rubina. Don't know if the veto's going to be, I don't know, but I just think it's going to come down to me and Rubina against each other come Thursday night. They don't want that to happen at all. T-Core is complaining. She's saying, look, I think as associating with Tucker a couple of weeks ago, it's just absolutely backfired on us at this point in time. We need to be reminding people that all that stuff Tucker did, that wasn't us. That was Tucker who did that. So don't be pinning all of that on us at this point in time. There's more plans to talk to Quinn later in the evening about what they can do to make sure the house is not aiming at them. They're talking about the fact that when they flipped that house, it wasn't in support of Tucker or anything else. It was about saving their friend Rubina. But now the rest of the house all thinks that they were trying to create this huge flip against the collective and everything else. And so while they were just trying to save a friend, everyone else has now used that as an excuse to come after T-Core and Chemo and Rubina. So they're feeling like things just haven't gone the way they should have gone or they expected them to go. All right, we finally had that conversation. Chemo's talking to Quinn. T-Core's not there. Chemo says T-Core just wasn't feeling well. So Chemo's talking to Quinn, saying that he's worried, he's paranoid, he's nervous, all the things that you should expect when you're on the block. Quinn is saying, look, I think he at one point reiterates again that it's Angela. You should be good, Chemo. But Quinn also does say, hey, there are new targets forming as well. And Chemo immediately said, Me? What are you the new target? Am I the new target? And or Quinn says, no. Well, kind of. That doesn't make you feel good, does it? So, kind of. Your name has been mentioned, but not this week, not next week, probably not even the week following. Way down the road, you should be good. Yeah, people mention your name, but you should be good later on. I'm not sure that's going to give me that much more of a warm fuzzy if I'm Chemo. But Quinn trying to walk him off the ledge a little bit. He's saying that it's just certain people. If certain people were to win the HOH and nominations, all that, yeah, maybe you got to be careful in a few weeks, but that's only certain people. It's not any one specific person. It's just a lot of scenarios that were thrown out. Quinn did not throw in a lot of names of who he was talking to and discussions that were coming up. If I'm Chemo, that's the part that makes me a little unsettled, is that Quinn is not really divulging information that would make me feel a lot better about our relationship. Quinn is saying that he did hear that Chemo had a final two with Tucker. Chemo is aghast. No, I didn't have it. Yeah, no, I did not like the guy, but I did have a final two with him. Not happy to hear that at all. Quinn is telling Chemo that Chemo needs to be telling people that you need to disassociate yourself from Tucker and everything as quickly as possible. Tell people you're depressed, not because Tucker went home, but because you're a have-not. Well, because you're on the block as well. But don't let people think it's because Tucker went home that you're so upset and disappointed. Just be the have-not and everything else. You've got to work on that. He's saying that Chemo needs to work on Cam and Mackenzie. He's saying, I'm not saying that they necessarily are gunning for you. I'm just saying that you need some advocates, some people to actively work to save you. And right now, they aren't it. And Chemo says, well, I like Cam. Mackenzie and I, we've just never really worked together. But I like Cam. And Quinn said, well, you need to go work on Mackenzie. You need to work on all of these people. He's saying, but just so you're a little more comfortable, Chemo, he said, no one is talking about trying to flip the target away from Angela. No one is trying to bring that up. So as long as Angela's up there, you're good. But you need to work on Cam. You need to work on Mackenzie. Do what you can to start working with these people. All right. At one point, we had fun in the backyard. We had Rubina and Mackenzie playing this tortilla challenge. You fill your mouth with water. You hit the other person upside the face with a tortilla and see if they can keep the water in mouth. Really, it sounds really silly as you describe it, right? But the tortilla challenge, they do a horrible job of that because they're laughing so much before they even hit each other. Mackenzie just barely hits Rubina with the tortilla, and they start laughing. Rubina looks like she's swinging a baseball bat when she tries to hit MJ. Of course, she has to jump a little bit and aim high. But they barely, and then eventually they're chasing each other and they're chasing Cam. So we get the tortilla battles and everything going on. Just some lighthearted play in the backyard. I was just laughing watching them hit each other with tortillas. I'm sure there's clips out there somewhere. It's pretty funny to watch. All right. Finally, the end of the conversation in the evening. We got Rubina and T-Core talking. T-Core is saying that she does not want to abandon Rubina and Chemo. Is it in the back of T-Core's mind at this point that she would even mention that? She doesn't want to abandon Rubina and T-Core. Rubina and Chemo, I mean. She's saying that she wouldn't mind seeing Mackenzie win at this point, that she feels like Mackenzie's playing a pretty good game, and if it came down to it, maybe Mackenzie would be fine winning the game. She's talking about Cam calling the girls in. I think, I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, they're talking about trying to pull all the girls in together at some point in time. Saying that she does not want to be a floater. That's not what she came in to do. She came in to control her game. She's not going to be a floater. Sometimes you got to be the floater, I feel like, T-Core, but she does not want to do that. T-Core is thinking that the winner this season is going to be based much more on strategy and social game rather than comp wins. That should not be the big thing for this season. Rubina is talking about Joseph and saying, is he really that good in this game? And T-Core saying he's not good. He's delusional. He has no clue what's going on around him. I think T-Core's kind of right. And then finally, Rubina is saying, you know what? I want to protect you. I want to protect Chemo. I don't care about the rest. At this point in time, I don't care about the rest. Well, T-Core expressed the same thing earlier. So certainly we see them getting a little fed up with everyone else in the house. You know, they're not playing the game that Chemo and T-Core and Rubina wanted to play. So they're not happy with the rest of the house. So they all want to just kind of draw it in upon themselves. Don't do it, Rubina. Don't do it, T-Core. You got to get out there and continue to make those relationships. And with that, lights out about, I don't know, 3:30 or so, maybe closer to 4 Big Brother time. So we had that today, Sunday. Nothing really going on. We'll have the veto ceremony tomorrow. I think a lot of conversations will revolve around Leah. And is she going to be talked into using this veto on Angela, or is she going to be talked out of using the veto on Angela? I'm not really sure. We'll find out. In the meanwhile, I'll be back tomorrow morning to give you an update on what happened throughout the day and the evening. We do have a Big Brother episode on tonight. Not sure if football or anything else affects it, so check and make sure. But I'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, have a great Sunday. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.